Anger is building up in a Dallas community this morning after a white police officer shot a black man in his own driveway. The victim is a former professional baseball player's son. His family claims it's a tragic case of racial profiling. Certainly from the outside, it would seem to be outrageous. CNN's Ed Lavandera is following the story live for us from Dallas. Ed, was this just a case of driving while black?
Well, that's clearly the question that a lot of people in this Houston suburb are asking this morning, and the allegations of racism and racial profiling are intensifying.
The way Robbie Tolan's family describes it, he and his cousin were just walking up to their home after a late-night meal. So why is Tolan now hospitalized? A police officer's bullet lodged in his liver. It's a question sparking allegations of racism in this mostly white Houston suburb of Bel Air.
He was a victim of the worst case and the worst kind of racial profiling.
Tolan is the son of former Major League Baseball player Robbie Tolan. The 23-year-old spent a year playing with a Washington Nationals minor league team and recently played with the Bay Area Toros. Tolan's cousin says they had no idea the two men approaching them that night were cops.
We did not know it was a police officer. We just thought, who is this guy with this gun and this flashlight?
According to police, the officers thought the SUV the pair had just gotten out of was stolen. Relatives say Tolan's parents heard the commotion and came outside. Police acknowledge an altercation took place. Relatives say it involved his mother.
The cop, they said, pushed her against the wall, and her son was on his back at the time, and he raised up and asked, "What are you doing to my mom?" And the officer shot him while he was on the ground.
The car belongs to the Tolans. It wasn't stolen. Police say Robbie Tolan and his cousin were unarmed. As for the officer who shot him, he is white, a 10-year veteran with an excellent record. Police say they're looking into what happened, but deny any kind of racial profiling.
Anytime that someone is injured, we take it very seriously. And but as far as any allegations of racial profiling, I'd probably say that that's not really going to float.
Robbie Tolan sits in a Houston hospital bed, and this son of a once prominent Major League Baseball player finds his own aspiring baseball career in jeopardy.
I'm not concerned about his career right now as a baseball player. I'm concerned about my son's health.
John, the officer who fired the shot has been put on administrative leave. There's an investigation, an internal police investigation going on, so the police department is no longer commenting on the case, as well as the Harris County District Attorney's Office there in Houston. They're also investigating to determine whether or not charges will be filed against this officer. John?
So this was this young man's own car, this SUV. The police say they thought that he was driving a stolen vehicle. Have they illuminated in any degree why they thought that particular vehicle was stolen?
Well, that's the million-dollar question right now, and that's one of the reasons why this police investigation is going on, is to determine exactly why and how these officers came to determine why they believed this car was stolen and that these two men were car thief suspects at that point. That's the way officers were essentially viewing these two men at the time of the shooting.
We're just talking about making a snap judgment here. Do we know if they even ran the license plate to see if the car was stolen? Did they make a mistake?
Officers have been asked that question, and I think that's one of the things that they'll do in the investigation, go back and determine whether or not the officer in his patrol car had typed in the license plate number into the car, and to see what kind of calls or radio transmissions had been made to get that kind of information. The police department there in Bel Air just hasn't offered any information as to what's been determined so far as to what this officer did.
So it certainly sounds like they've got a lot of explaining to do, though. Ed Lavandera for us this morning in Dallas. Ed, thanks so much for that.
Sure.